you've been in the wrestling business for a while now too. You've reffed at an ACW show, and you've reffed before. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into this crazy world of pro wrestling?
Yeah, it's a crazy story. Grew up as a fan, right? Absolutely loved it. Grew up watching. I'm a bit older than you. I've had 31 years in the industry now. So I grew up watching the Von Erichs. Kevin Von Erich was actually my first match I ever saw was him against Ric Flair. And that as a kid, so growing up, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get involved somehow. Had no idea that 20 minutes away from where I lived, Killer Kowalski had his school because it was so guarded back then.
Yeah.
So, I would have made the trip. Ended up working with Kevin Sullivan's his sister-in-law, who went to Kevin. Kevin told me to go up to the Hart Foundation, up to the dungeon, up at the Hart family. And I had to bring $3,000 with me. Well, he might as well have asked me for $3 million at that time. Right. I remember going to my father, who did not like me watching wrestling, and I asked him to borrow $3,000. He asked me what it was for. When I told him what it was for, I woke up about 2 weeks later on the floor. It didn't go over well. So I knew at that point I had to find my own way in. And lo and behold, we had a radio station up here in Boston called WAAF. They aren't around anymore, but they were a big station here. And they were giving away tickets. They used to advertise on there all the time. So I won a pair of tickets to the Lowell Memorial Auditorium. And at that time, this is when they used to tape 4 weeks of TV.
Sure.
And they were taping Superstars. So I won tickets. And what they said was at the end of the week, all the ticket holders were going to be picked and someone was going to be a guest ring announcer for the night. Oh. So the whole week goes, I'm waiting. Here we are, the Friday. I listen to the show. I'm dying to hear. They don't announce the winner. I'm going, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, I'm waiting all this. So back then, you picked up your phone and you dialed the number, right? And that's how you had to get in touch with it and get the busy signal, keep dialing. And I got through. And that show was ending and the next show was coming in. The producer grabbed it, and I said, you guys didn't announce the winner. And he went, oh, my God, we didn't do it. And he yells over to the host, Liz Wild, and she said, does he have tickets? And I go, yeah, I had tickets. And he goes, do you want it?
Wow.
That's how it happened.
Wow.
So I ended up going to the Lowell Memorial Auditorium. I announced Earthquake against Eric Cody. It was an enhancement match. They said my name 100 times. I was up there on the Tron and everything, and Vince McMahon was doing the commentary back then with Jerry Lawler, put me over through the moon. I walked out of there, and as I walked back through the curtain after the match, Bret Hart was there, grabbed me, and said, he gave me that, that took guts, kid. One of those, classic Bret Hart things. And a couple of the other guys saw me on the way out. And a couple of the local guys that were working the show as enhancement talents grabbed my number. And next thing you know, I started getting a few calls to come do ring announcing. Wow. And the ring announcing turned into helping out anywhere I could. And I started doing that. And I got hooked up with Matt and Kyle Storm down in Rhode Island. I started working and really started to learn what it was to be a part of the business. I had no clue what I was doing at that time. And of course, I started in a WWF ring. And that's where I got my start, was on TV. My very first time stepping in a ring was on television. Wow. So I'm like, well, how bad can it be? Well, the next time I stepped into a ring, it was in the middle of a street during a block party. And they didn't even have aprons. They had caution tape around the ring just to keep it so you couldn't see. It was a different experience, a little humbling at that time, but great bunch of guys that I met and learned from. Ended up working for Mike Sparta, and anybody who knew Mike Sparta back in the day probably knew the name. Mike would bring in a lot of talent. His brother Freddie was a referee for the WWE back in the day, and so they bring talent in and run it through there. Well, Dangerous Danny Davis was there, and Danny took a liking to me, took me under his wing. They needed a referee, and he started guiding me and teaching me. It was not an easy thing to go through. It's not like today when you go in there and everybody's friendly and all. You got screamed at and yelled at and, kicked and hit and whacked. And they made sure you knew what you were doing. But Danny, between him and then I met Paul Richard, who was the enforcer referee for ECW and ended up becoming the Northeast promoter for ECW up in the Boston market. He took me under his wing, too, and started teaching me everything that happened in the back and what to do there. From there, I met Sheldon Goldberg from New England Championship Wrestling. And Sheldon took me out of the ring and put me behind the microphone, and I started doing color commentary. And the people that I got to work with, between Mike Sparta and Mike, I met with all the style. Worked with everyone from Eddie Guerrero to Dr. Tom. I can't even tell you how many matches I did with Chris Candido and Big Dick Dudley, Sabu. I worked with all the ECW guys. It was an amazing time. Balls Mahoney. The stories I have probably couldn't be. I got to let the statute of limitations run out before I start really talking about them. But we had a great time. It was awesome. When I started doing the commentary with Sheldon, I started learning this is the new generation. He didn't really bring in stars so much as he worked more on the homegrown. So guys like Eddie Edwards came out of there. Guys like Ivar came out of there. I actually did color commentary on Sasha Banks, Mercedes Monet's very first match.
Wow.
So the very first match she ever had, her debut, I got to do commentary on it. And I saw then, this girl's got it. She had a star quality all over the place. And when she just won her 13th title.
Yep.
Right? So, but, getting to work with guys like the Highlanders and the Haas brothers and so many people from our area. The Northeast is flooded with talent. But this is where I met guys like Kurt Adonis. I met guys like the Now, and we're talking 20-year relationship with guys like the Now, and they came all the way up here to work for Mike Sparta at the time. And then as I'm moving forward, of course, a few years go by. I can't do what I used to do in the ring anymore. Getting to that point. What can I do? I can still talk as long as nobody breaks my jaw like Danny Moffat wants to, evidently. Yep. But we'll keep shucking and jiving away from that. But I figured, you know what? Let's see. There's so much to talk about with pro wrestling, and it's such a hot commodity right now. Made a pitch to a guy at a radio station, took a chance on me, and we're in our second year, coming up on our anniversary in February. Went from 1 hour a week now to 2 hours, the fastest 2 hours of radio, WMEX. Shout out to, it's funny because, of course, we talk about Dave LaGreca being the big guru when it comes to radio here in pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. The owner of my station is Tony LaGreca. There's a somewhere down the line, there's a relation there, but why wouldn't I go to a LaGreca to get on, right?
That's great.
It's worked out good. And, my son and I, we've interviewed everyone. I got to interview Kevin Von Erich, which to me, this is the first guy I ever watched on television. So I got to do that. I hooked back up with the Now. This was back a year ago, May. So this was before ACW even became a thing. And I had them on the show. They had, what they had just done? They had just wrestled the Briscoes just before, it was during the, the Crockett Cup. In the NWA. So they had their tournament there. So I was hoping to get them on again and see if we could get them to get back in the cup, but they didn't. Little did I know they had this little thing coming up called ACW, Awesome Championship Wrestling. And I knew when I heard when it was going to be, they came on and explained. I said I had to be a part of that. I knew I had to get up there. So there's not even family I'd drive that long for. But for them, they are family to me. So.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's a story, man. You definitely have to write a book on that one. Definitely need more chapters.
It's going.
No,
it's going. I did write a book too, though. I actually wrote the only professional wrestling rule book that's ever been in print.
That's awesome.
That's not a gimmick, which makes it a gimmick.
No, perfect.
So, and what's his name? Seth Turner actually has a copy of it at the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Wow, that's
so
awesome.
He's got it at the Hall of Fame now too.
Very cool.
So.